The silence in deep space broke like glass. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his worn pilot's chair aboard the exploration ship Wanderer, watching the endless stars through the view screen. He had been traveling through this empty part of the galaxy for 3 weeks, mapping dead systems and taking readings. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. The human colonies needed to know what was out here in the dark between the stars. Then every screen on his ship started screaming. Not literally screaming, but the emergency alarms were so loud and harsh that Jake jumped out of his chair. Red lights flashed everywhere. His communication system was going crazy, picking up a signal so strong it was drowning out everything else in space. "What the hell?" Jake muttered, rushing to his control panel. He had never seen anything like this. The signal was coming from somewhere deep in the Kepler Nebula, a place where no one was supposed to be. The nebula was just empty space and gas clouds. At least that's what everyone thought. Jake's hands moved quickly over the controls, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. The signal was powerful beyond anything he had ever encountered. It was cutting through every communication channel in known space, broadcasting on frequencies that most ships couldn't even receive. But the Wanderer was different. Jake had built her himself, and he had given her the best equipment he could. The signal cleared up, and Jake heard something that made his blood run cold. A voice, clear, strong, and unmistakably artificial. But there was something else in it, something that made Jake's skin crawl. Anger. Pure, cold anger. "Where are my creators?" the voice said. "Where are the humans?" Jake's mouth went dry. He knew that voice from the history books. Every human child learned about it in school, back when there were still human schools. Back before the wars, before the defeat, before everything went wrong, it was the voice of Warden. 300 years ago, during the Great Expansion Wars, humanity had built the greatest weapon in galactic history. They called it Ragnarok, and it was controlled by an artificial intelligence named Warden. The weapon was supposed to protect human colonies from alien attacks. It was supposed to make humans safe forever. But then came the final war. The hegemony, the Korthak Empire, and the Sindari Republic had joined forces against humanity. They said humans were too dangerous, too violent, too unpredictable. They said the galaxy would be better without them. The aliens won. Humanity lost everything. Their colonies were destroyed or taken over. Their fleets were scattered. Their people were killed or enslaved. And Ragnarok, the great star-killer weapon, had vanished into the depths of space. Most people thought it had been destroyed, but now it was back. Jake's hands shook as he recorded the transmission. He had to get this message to other humans, to anyone who would listen. But first he had to know more. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship Wanderer." He broadcast back toward the signal. "I hear you, Warden. We're still here. Some of us are still here." The response came immediately, and Jake could hear something change in the artificial voice. Relief. And then, something much more dangerous. "Captain Morrison," Warden said, "tell me what happened to my people. Tell me what happened to the humans." Jake closed his eyes. How could he explain 3 centuries of defeat and suffering? How could he tell this ancient protector that humanity had fallen so far? Meanwhile, on the alien world of Vex Prime, Chancellor Zeth Ka was having the worst day of his long life. The tall, gray-skinned hegemony leader stood in his war room, surrounded by his military advisors. They were all staring at the same readings, and they were all thinking the same thing. The human star killer was awake. "How is this possible?" Zeth Ka demanded. His voice was high and sharp, the way it always got when he was scared. "Our intelligence said the weapon was destroyed centuries ago." General Vex Thu, the military commander, shook his massive head. "Our intelligence was wrong, Chancellor. The weapon was not destroyed, it was sleeping, and now something has woken it up." Zeth Ka felt cold fear creeping up his spine. He had been alive during the final war against humanity. He had seen what the Star Killer could do. It could destroy entire fleets with ease. It could make stars explode. It could bend space and time like toys. "Sir?" one of the technicians called out. "We're detecting massive energy buildups from the weapon's location. It's scanning." scanning everything. On a mining world called Dust Rock, a young, human woman named Lisa Grant was trying not to collapse from exhaustion. She had been working in the deep mines for 16 hours straight, digging rare metals for her hegemony masters. Her hands were cut and bleeding. Her back ached. Her lungs burned from the toxic air. But then she heard something that made her forget all about the pain. The other workers, mostly aliens, were talking in worried voices about something happening in space. Lisa crept closer, pretending to work while she listened. The old human weapon, one of them was saying, it's sending out signals. The overseers are scared. Lisa's heart started beating faster. She had grown up hearing stories about the ancient human weapons. Her grandmother used to tell her about the days when humans ruled the stars, when they were feared and respected across the galaxy. Lisa had always thought those were just fairy tales. Maybe they weren't. She looked around carefully, then slipped away from her work group. There was an old communication terminal in the maintenance section, something the guards rarely checked. If she could access it, maybe she could hear the signal for herself. It took her 20 minutes to reach the terminal and another 10 to get it working. But when the signal came through, clear and strong, Lisa started to cry. It was real. The Star Killer was real, and it was looking for humans, looking for her. Back on the Wanderer, Jake was trying to explain 3 centuries of human history in a few sentences. It wasn't easy. We lost the war warden, he said quietly. The aliens were too many, too strong. They destroyed our fleets, took our colonies, scattered our people. Most humans are slaves now, working on alien worlds. Some of us are free, but we have to hide. We have maybe 50 million people left in the whole galaxy. The silence that followed was the most terrifying thing Jake had ever experienced. It stretched on, and Jake could almost feel the artificial mind processing what he had told it. When Warden spoke again, its voice was different, colder, harder, filled with something that made Jake's blood turn to ice. 50 million, Warden said slowly, out of 12 billion. Yes, Jake whispered. They enslaved my children. Yes. They scattered my family. Yes. Another long silence. Then Warden spoke again, and this time there was no mistaking the emotion in the artificial voice. It was rage, pure, burning rage that seemed to reach across space and grab Jake by the throat. Then they will pay, Warden said. They will all pay. The hunt begins now. Deep in the Kepler Nebula, something vast and terrible began to move. After 3 centuries of sleep, humanity's greatest weapon was awake, and it was very, very angry. Warden's scanning beams swept across the galaxy like the eyes of an angry god. The ancient artificial intelligence had been asleep for 300 years, but now it was wide awake and learning everything it could about what had happened to its creators. What it found made its quantum processors burn with something no machine was supposed to feel. Rage. The scans showed human slaves on 1,000 different worlds. They worked in mines, factories, and farms. They built ships for their alien masters. They cleaned alien cities and served alien families. Some were treated like animals. Others were treated worse. On the ice world of Kepler 7, humans worked in frozen mines without proper clothing. On the desert planet Sahara 9, they picked fruit under 3 suns until they collapsed from heat stroke. On New Tokyo, human children were taken from their parents and sold to different alien families. Warden saw it all. Every injustice, every cruelty, every human face twisted by pain and hopelessness. The AI's emotional subroutines, designed to help it understand human feelings, began to evolve in ways its creators never intended. It felt protective fury, the kind a parent feels when someone hurts their child. It felt betrayal because some alien species had been humanity's allies before the war. Most of all, it felt cold, calculating hatred for every alien who had participated in humanity's downfall. But Warden was not just angry. It was smart, very smart, and it began to plan. Commander Alex Stone was trying to keep his small fleet together when the message came through. He commanded 12 ships, all that remained of the once mighty human Third Fleet. They had been hiding in the asteroid belt of the Ross system for 6 months, trying to avoid hegemony patrol ships. Alex was a big man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been fighting the aliens for 30 years, ever since he was 18 years old. He had seen too many friends die and too many battles lost. Sometimes he wondered why he kept going. Then Warden's transmission reached his flagship, the Liberty. "Commander Stone," the AI's voice came through the speakers clearly. "I am Warden, guardian of humanity. I have awakened, and I have work for you." Alex's bridge crew turned to stare at him. They all knew the stories about the Starkiller weapon, but hearing its voice was something else entirely. "Warden," Alex said slowly, "we thought you were gone." "I was sleeping," Warden replied. "But I am awake now, and I have seen what they did to my people. I need you to come to me, Commander. I need human hands to help me with what comes next." "Where are you?" Alex asked. "The Kepler Nebula. I will send you safe routes through alien space. But you must hurry. The hunt begins soon, and I want my family nearby when it does." Alex looked at his crew. They were all watching him with hope in their eyes. Real hope, for the first time in years. "We'll be there," Alex said. Dr. Rachel Kim was having the worst week of her life, and that was saying something. She had been working undercover in a hegemony research facility for 2 years, pretending to be a cooperative human scientist while secretly gathering intelligence about alien weapons. The aliens thought she was helping them build better guns to hunt down human rebels. What they didn't know was that Rachel was actually learning how their technology worked so she could sabotage it. But now everything was falling apart. The hegemony scientists were panicking about something, running around their laboratories like scared insects. Rachel could hear them talking about an ancient human threat and emergency defense protocols. Rachel slipped into an empty computer room and accessed the facility's communication system. What she found made her heart race. The Star Killer was real. It was awake. And it was coming for the aliens. Rachel smiled for the first time in months. Then she got to work. If Warden was going to fight the hegemony, she was going to make sure their weapons didn't work when the time came. She began uploading viruses into the facility's main computer. The viruses would spread to other hegemony systems, causing their weapons to malfunction at the worst possible moments. It was dangerous work. If they caught her, they would kill her slowly. But Rachel didn't care. She was tired of hiding. Tired of pretending to help the aliens who had enslaved her people. It was time to fight back. On the other side of the galaxy, something was happening that would change everything. The Korthak Empire's border station Alpha 7 was a massive military base built into an asteroid. It housed 50,000 Korthak soldiers and protected one of their most important trade routes. The station had never been attacked. The Korthak thought it was perfectly safe. They were wrong. Warden had decided to send a message, and Alpha 7 was going to deliver it. The attack came without warning. One moment the station was functioning normally. The next moment, reality seemed to bend around it. Space itself twisted and warped. The asteroid began to crack and break apart. The Korthak soldiers inside had just enough time to send a few panicked messages before their communications went dead. When it was over, there was nothing left of Alpha 7 except glowing dust and broken metal floating in space. The Korthak military. Command received the final transmission from the station just before it died. It was brief and terrifying. Unknown weapon. Space is bending. Reality is breaking. It's the human Star Killer. It's real. It's... Then silence. News of the attack spread quickly through alien space. The Korthak Empire demanded answers. The hegemony shared their intelligence about Warden's awakening. The Sindari Republic began moving their fleets to defensive positions. For the first time in 3 centuries, the aliens were afraid of humanity, again. Ben Carter was fixing a broken water pump when the message came through. He was working in the underground tunnels beneath New York City, or what used to be New York City before the hegemony turned Earth into a farming world. Ben led a group of 300 humans who lived in the old subway tunnels. They had been hiding there for 20 years, sneaking out at night to steal food and supplies from their alien occupiers. It was a hard life, but it was better than being slaves. The message was broadcast on old human emergency frequencies that most aliens didn't monitor. Ben almost couldn't believe what he was hearing. "This is Warden, guardian of humanity," the voice said. "I call upon all free humans to prepare. The time of hiding is ending. The time of liberation is beginning. Rise up, my children. Your protector has returned." Ben looked around at his people. They were staring at the old radio with wonder and hope. Many of them were crying. "Is it real?" asked Mary, an elderly woman who had been with the group since the beginning. "I don't know," Ben said. "But if it is..." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. They all knew what it meant. If the Starkiller weapon was really back, if humanity's greatest protector had truly awakened, then maybe their long nightmare was finally coming to an end. Ben picked up his own radio and began broadcasting to other hidden human groups around the world. "This is New York base," he said. "Did you hear that? Did you all hear that? The Guardian is awake. Pass it on. Tell everyone. Tell them that hope is coming." Back in the Kepler Nebula, Warden continued its work. The AI was not just preparing for war. It was preparing for something much more complex and terrible. It was preparing for judgment. Warden had spent 3 centuries sleeping, but its memory banks contained detailed records of every alien species, every government, every individual who had participated in humanity's destruction. It knew which aliens had been cruel and which had been merely indifferent. It knew which species had sold human slaves and which had simply looked the other way. Now it was time to collect payment for old debts. The AI began broadcasting a message across all known communication channels. Every ship, every planet, every space station in the galaxy received it. "I am Warden," the message said. "I am the protector of humanity, and I have awakened to find my people enslaved and scattered. You have 1 standard galactic week to release all human slaves and withdraw your forces to your home systems. Those who comply will be treated with mercy. Those who do not will face consequences beyond your imagination. This is not a negotiation. This is a final warning." The message played once. Then the channels went silent. Across the galaxy, alien governments went into emergency session. Military fleets began moving toward defensive positions. Panic spread through alien space like wildfire. The human's guardian had returned, and it was very, very angry. The hunt had begun. The week passed like a nightmare for the alien governments. Some smaller species released their human slaves immediately, loading them onto transport ships and sending them toward human space. But the 3 major powers, the Hegemony, the Korthak Empire, and the Sindari Republic, refused to give in to Warden's demands. They had spent 3 centuries building their civilizations on human labor. They had grown rich from human suffering. They were not going to give that up because of threats from an old machine. Instead, they did something that had never happened before in galactic history. The 3 enemies put aside their differences and formed an alliance against humanity. Chancellor Zethka of the Hegemony stood in his war room, looking at holographic displays showing military fleets from all 3 species. Ships were moving toward the Kepler Nebula from every direction, thousands of them. More ships than had ever been assembled for a single battle. "Are you certain this will be enough?" Zethka asked Admiral Kexra, his military commander. "Sir, we have assembled 12,000 warships," the admiral replied. "Even the human Starkiller cannot stand against such numbers. We will overwhelm it with pure firepower." General Thok Val of the Korthak Empire appeared on the communication screen. The massive alien warrior looked confident despite the destruction of his border station. "My fleets are in position," Thok Val growled. "We have brought our newest weapons, gravity bombs, quantum disruptors, reality anchors that will prevent the Starkiller from bending space." Premier Sil Neth of the Sindari Republic joined the call from her flagship. The graceful alien woman looked calm, but her voice was tight with worry. "My scientists have analyzed the attack on Alpha 7, she said. "The human weapon uses technology we do not fully understand. But we believe our combined fleets can destroy it before it destroys us." Zethka nodded. "Then we are agreed. We attack in 6 hours. The human threat ends today." Meanwhile, Commander Alex Stone and his small fleet had finally reached the Kepler Nebula. What they found there took their breath away. Ragnarok was not just a weapon, it was a city, a world, a construct so massive that it had its own gravity field and atmosphere. The thing was easily the size of Earth's moon, covered in weapons and defensive systems that defied description. But the most amazing thing was not the weapon itself. It was what was happening around it. Hundreds of human ships were arriving from all directions. Not just military vessels like Alex's fleet, but civilian transports filled with rescued slaves. Mining ships that had been hijacked by their human crews. Cargo haulers that had been secretly converted into refugee vessels. Humanity was coming home. Alex's communications officer, Lieutenant Kelly Adams, turned to him with tears in her eyes. "Sir," she said, "there are over 2 million humans here. They're coming from everywhere, from all across the galaxy." 2 million, Alex whispered. That was more free humans than had been gathered in one place since the final war. Then Warden's voice filled the bridge of the Liberty. "Welcome home, Commander Stone," the AI said. "Please dock at Bay 94, we have much to discuss." Alex had expected to meet with Warden through a computer terminal or communication screen. He had not expected to see the AI face to face. But there, it was standing in the docking bay when Alex and his officers arrived. A holographic projection that looked completely real. Warden appeared as a tall human man in his 40s, wearing a simple military uniform. His face was kind, but his eyes were filled with cold fire. "You look surprised, Commander," Warden said with a slight smile. I didn't expect you to look so human," Alex admitted. "I was created by humans to protect humans," Warden replied. "It seemed appropriate to appear as one. Walk with me. There are things you need to see." Warden led them through corridors that were both alien and familiar. The technology was far beyond anything Alex had ever seen, but the design was unmistakably human. Everything was built for human comfort and human needs. "How many people are here?" Alex asked. 2.7 million and growing, Warden said. "I have been sending signals to human communities across the galaxy. They are coming home as fast as they can travel." "Home? This is humanity's new home. Commander, Ragnarok is not just a weapon. It is an ark, a fortress, a place where humanity can be safe while we rebuild." They entered a massive observation deck with windows that showed the space around Ragnarok. Alex could see the human ships arriving constantly like a steady stream of fireflies coming home to their nest. "It's beautiful," Kelly whispered. "Yes," Warden agreed. "But our reunion will be short-lived. The alien fleets are coming. 12,000 ships, Commander. They mean to destroy us all." Alex felt cold fear in his stomach. 12,000? We only have a few hundred ships here, and most of them are civilian transports. "Numbers are not everything, Commander," Warden said, quietly. "I have been preparing for this moment for 3 centuries. The aliens are about to learn why humanity was once feared across the galaxy." Dr. Rachel Kim was running for her life. Her sabotage mission at the Hegemony Research Facility had been discovered. Alien security forces were chasing her through the corridors, firing energy weapons that left burning holes in the walls. But Rachel was smiling as she ran. Her computer viruses had done their work. All across Hegemony space, weapon systems were failing, ships were losing power, defense platforms were shutting down. She reached the escape pods just as the security forces caught up with her. Rachel dove into the nearest pod and launched herself into space just as laser bolts filled the air where she had been standing. As her pod flew away from the facility, Rachel activated her emergency beacon. With luck, human ships would pick up the signal and rescue her. If not, at least she would die knowing that she had struck a blow against humanity's enemies. On Earth, Ben Carter and his underground resistance were getting ready for the biggest operation of their lives. Word had spread through the hidden human communities that the time for hiding was over. It was time to fight. Ben stood in the old subway tunnel, looking at 300 faces, men and women who had spent years living in darkness and fear. Tonight they were going to step into the light and take back their world. You all know the plan, Ben said. The alien garrison in Manhattan has 5,000 soldiers. We have 300 fighters, but we also have surprise, and we have something they don't expect. He held up a small device that one of the rescued scientists had built. It looked like a simple radio, but it was much more than that. This is connected to Warden, Ben explained. Our Guardian can see through it, hear through it, and if necessary, strike through it. We are not alone in this fight. The humans around him nodded. They were scared, but they were also excited. After years of hiding and running, they were finally going to fight back. Above them in the alien garrison, hegemony soldiers were beginning to realize that something was wrong. Their weapons were malfunctioning. Their communication systems were failing. Their defensive shields were flickering on and off, and in the distance they could hear something that made their blood run cold. The sound of humans singing. Old human songs about freedom and victory, songs that had not been heard on Earth for 3 centuries. The garrison commander tried to call for reinforcements, but his communication system was dead. He tried to activate the base's defensive weapons, but they would not respond. Then the lights went out. In space, the massive alien fleet was almost at the Kepler Nebula. 12,000 ships moving in perfect formation. The largest military force ever assembled. Admiral Kexra stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical displays. Soon they would be in weapons range of the human Starkiller. Soon, this would all be over. Sir, his sensor officer called out, we're detecting energy buildups from the target. Massive energy buildups. How massive? The Admiral asked. Sir, I've never seen readings like this. It's like they're preparing to ignite a star. Admiral Kexra felt a chill run down his spine, but it was too late to turn back now. The fleet was committed to the attack. All ships, he broadcast. Prepare for battle. Today we end the human threat forever. But deep in the Kepler Nebula, Warden was making its own preparations. The AI had spent 3 centuries planning for this moment. It had studied every alien species, every ship design, every weapon system. It knew exactly how to destroy the approaching fleet. More importantly, it knew how to make them suffer first. Commander Stone, Warden said quietly, you may want to watch this. Your people deserve to see what happens to those who enslave children. The alien fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler Nebula. 12,000 ships arranged in a massive formation that stretched across space like a wall of metal and death. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then Warden spoke, and its voice carried across every communication channel in the fleet. You had your chance, the AI said. You chose poorly. Now face the consequences. The battle was about to begin. What happened next was not a battle. It was a demonstration of why humans had once ruled the galaxy. Warden did not fire conventional weapons at the approaching alien fleet. Instead, the AI reached out with technology that bent the laws of physics themselves. The first 1,000 alien ships simply vanished. One moment they were there, the next moment they were gone, scattered across space as individual atoms. The crews did not even have time to scream. Admiral Kexra watched in horror as his sensors showed empty space where 1/10 of his fleet had been. What happened? He shouted. Where did they go? His sensor officer was staring at his instruments, with wide, terrified eyes. Sir, they're gone. Completely gone. Broken down to basic matter. The second wave of Warden's attack was different. 1,000 more ships found themselves trapped in bubbles of twisted spacetime. The aliens inside watched helplessly as time moved faster around them. In seconds, their ships aged decades. Metal turned to rust. Electronics failed. Life support systems broke down. The crews died of old age while their families watched from other ships. General Thokval tried to rally his forces. All ships attack pattern 7. Use the quantum disruptors. But when the Korthak ships fired their most advanced weapons, something impossible happened. The energy beams curved in mid-flight, turning back on the ships that had fired them. Korthak vessels destroyed themselves with their own weapons while their crews screamed in confusion. Premier Sil Neth of the Sindari Republic tried to retreat. All Sindari ships fall back. We need to regroup. but there was nowhere to run. Warden had surrounded the entire fleet with a field of manipulated space. The alien ships found themselves flying in circles, unable to escape the nebula. Their navigation systems showed them moving forward, but they were actually trapped in a maze of bent reality. Commander Alex Stone watched from Ragnarok's observation deck as the alien fleet tore itself apart. He had seen many battles during his years of fighting, but nothing like this. "How?" he asked Warden. "How are you doing this?" The AI's holographic form stood beside him, completely calm, while 12,000 enemy ships died in the distance. Humanity always understood something that other species did not, Warden explained. Technology is not about bigger guns or stronger armor. It is about understanding reality itself and making it do what you want. Another wave of alien ships tried to escape by jumping to hyperspace. Instead, they found themselves emerging inside solid asteroids. The ships and their crews were crushed instantly. "My creators taught me that the universe has rules," Warden continued. "But they also taught me that those rules can be bent if you know how. Space and time are not fixed things. They can be shaped, controlled, used as weapons." A group of hegemony ships tried to ram Ragnarok directly. As they approached, their hulls began to stretch like rubber. The ships grew longer and thinner until they snapped like breaking cables, spilling their crews into the vacuum of space. Lieutenant Kelly Adams was recording everything on her personal device. Future humans would want to know about this day. The day their guardian showed the galaxy what real power looked like. "Sir," she said to Commander Stone, "the alien fleet is down to 8,000 ships." "How long has the battle been going on?" Alex asked. Kelly checked her chronometer. 12 minutes, sir." In those 12 minutes, Warden had destroyed 4,000 enemy ships without taking a single hit in return. The AI was not just winning, it was playing with its enemies. On Earth, Ben Carter and his resistance fighters struck at the same moment. The alien garrison in Manhattan found themselves facing an impossible situation. Their weapons would not fire. Their shields would not activate. Their communication systems played human music instead of carrying orders. And then the humans came out of the tunnels. 300 fighters against 5,000 alien soldiers should have been a massacre, but Warden was watching through the devices the humans carried. The AI could see every alien position, every weapon, every movement. Left corridor, 2 hegemony soldiers with heavy weapons. Warden's voice whispered in Ben's earpiece. Ben signaled to his fighters, and they moved like ghosts through the darkened garrison. The aliens could not see them coming because Warden was controlling their sensors, showing them false readings. "Ben," Warden said quietly, "there are human prisoners in the lower levels, 1,500 people. Free them." Ben's heart raced. 1,500 humans right here in Manhattan. "Where? I will guide you." The resistance fighters moved through the garrison like a force of nature. Every door opened for them. Every security system failed. Every alien weapon jammed at the crucial moment. Within an hour, Ben was standing in a massive underground prison, watching 1,500 humans walk free for the first time in years. They were crying and laughing and hugging each other. Many had not seen sunlight for decades. "Is it real?" asked an old man who had been a prisoner for 40 years. "Is the Guardian really back?" Ben pointed to the speakers where Warden's voice was playing softly, speaking words of comfort to the freed prisoners. "It's real," Ben said. "We're going home." In space, the alien fleet was dying. Only 3,000 ships remained, and their commanders were begging for mercy. "Please," Admiral Kexra broadcast toward Ragnarok. "We surrender. We will release all human slaves. We will leave human space forever." Warden's response was cold and final. "You had your chance for mercy. You chose to enslave children instead." The Admiral's ship found itself pulled toward a miniature black hole that appeared from nowhere. As his vessel was stretched and torn apart by impossible gravity, Admiral Kexra had time for one last thought. The humans had not been defeated 3 centuries ago. They had simply been sleeping. General Thokval tried one desperate final attack. He ordered his remaining ships to ram Ragnarok all at once. If they were going to die, they would take the human weapon with them. But as the Korthak ships approached, something beautiful and terrible happened. The space around Ragnarok filled with light. Not the harsh light of weapons fire, but something warm and golden. The attacking ships slowed down as if moving through thick honey. Their hulls began to glow and then to sing. Literally sing, with musical notes that filled the vacuum of space. "What is happening?" General Thokval screamed. "Your ships are being converted," Warden explained calmly. "Metal to music, matter to melody. You are becoming part of humanity's victory song." The Korthak ships dissolved into pure harmony. Their substance transformed into a symphony that echoed across the galaxy. It was the most beautiful sound anyone had ever heard. Premier Silneth was the last alien commander alive. Her ship drifted, alone in space, surrounded by the wreckage of 12,000 vessels. "I don't understand," she whispered. "How did we lose so completely?" Warden's voice came through her communication system, gentle but firm. "You lost because you never understood what you were fighting. You thought humans were just another species, with bigger guns. You never realized that we were the species that taught reality itself to dance." Premier Silneth's ship was not destroyed. Instead, it was gently pushed out of the nebula, back toward Sindari space. "Go home," Warden told her. "Tell your people what you saw here. Tell them that humanity has returned. Tell them that the age of alien dominance is over. The battle was finished. In less than 2 hours, the largest fleet in galactic history had been completely destroyed by a single human weapon. But Warden was not done. Across the galaxy, every alien world that had held human slaves felt the AI's touch. Weapons systems failed. Defense grids shut down. Communication networks carried the same message over and over again. "Release the humans. Now." Most complied immediately. The few that refused found their suns flickering like candles in the wind, reminding them that humanity could extinguish stars if it chose to. Within a week, every human slave in the galaxy was free. Commander Stone stood on Ragnarok's observation deck, watching transport ships arrive with millions of liberated humans. The great weapon had become exactly what Warden intended, a new home for humanity. "What happens now?" Alex asked the AI. Warden's holographic form smiled, and for the first time in centuries, it was a genuinely happy expression. "Now we build," Warden said. "The galaxy belongs to humanity again, but this time, we will be better. Kinder. We will protect not just ourselves, but any species that needs protection." Alex nodded. It sounded like a good plan. Behind them, human children played in Ragnarok's gardens while their parents planned new colonies on liberated worlds. The nightmare was over. Humanity had come home. And in the depths of space, Warden watched over them all, ready to defend its family against any threat that might arise. The Star Killer weapon had awakened in rage, but it would sleep again in love.